The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of The Break. Today is going to be an exciting show, hopefully. We have a lot of things to talk about. We're going to break down the Buccaneers offense. We're going to do some updates on the injuries. We're going to start off with the Pro Bowls. The NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that happened last night. The NFL announced the Pro Bowl guys, 5 of them being the Cowboys, Byron Jones, Tyron Smith, Zack Martin, Zeke, DeMarcus Lawrence. First impressions, were any of these come as a surprise for you guys? Were you surprised? Yes, there's a couple of yeses.
I am absolutely surprised that Byron Jones made the Pro Bowl in a good way.
Shocked is a better way to put it.
He should be there.
Yeah.
He has had a phenomenal season. He's been locking guys down all year. And it's really encouraging that got noticed because he doesn't have any interceptions.
Yes.
I think it's a really encouraging sign that people are paying attention, and even if they're not watching the games, they're doing their research at least.
I didn't go back to the entire league. I didn't have enough time, but I did go back to the entire Cowboys franchise history, and no defensive back has ever made the Pro Bowl without getting a pick. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's just what happens. But I think Dave said it best. I mean, the fact that you're starting to see stats that aren't just about getting interceptions, but I mean, he's had a couple of opportunities,
He has, but
for the most part, he does his job, and
it's a lot like offensive line play. Like if you're not paying close attention, there's not a lot of stats that can tell you. But I do, yeah. I mean, we said that yesterday. I think it speaks to the rise of analytics in football. That Pro Football Focus, and there's these companies that chart every play, and they can give you a grade for how you're covering your guy. There's bloggers out there that are putting GIFs of the All-22 on Twitter for people to look at. And, even if you're not watching the Cowboys every week, you're seeing what he's doing. I think that matters.
Yeah, but I think
that played a role in him getting the nod.
And I think the other thing to consider here is that the Cowboys not the Cowboys, but the league is doing a third of the votes come from players, a third of the votes come from coaches, a third of the votes come from fans. I think the more that players and coaches are kind of thinking about it and thinking about who did we play that was tough and who gave us a problem and who really played well. And they don't necessarily look at the numbers necessarily to make their decisions. They're basing it on who did we play that was tough. And I think that's probably a big nod to the fact that teams that have played the Cowboys have probably come out of that game thinking that cornerback's pretty good. And so I think, like you said, Dave, I was shocked by it, but I was pleasantly shocked because I thought that he's played extremely well, and I was very happy to see that it didn't have to come down to just interceptions, because a good cornerback can be a good cornerback regardless of whether he gets interceptions or not. Now, it'd be nice. You're wrong. It would be nice. And that's one of the knocks on this defense is they don't get enough turnovers. So it would be really nice if he could get it, but I still will say that, especially when you look at where he was a year ago at this time, I mean, it is a great story of what he's turned into here this year.
Yep.
I'll be honest, when I saw Byron Jones' name, I'm like, oh, that's great. It wasn't so much as a surprise as the surprise I felt personally when I saw Tyron Smith's name, because, I mean, there's no denying his talents and what he still is, but in our eyes, what he's done this season, a lot of struggles, and it's just refreshing to see what everyone else around the league thinks of him and sees him as.
Yeah, me and Nick and I had a healthy back and forth about that last night. I mean, it's a testament to how good of a player he is. I mean, he has not
been.
Well, he's still a good player.
No, I'm saying, but it's also a testament to how good a player he has been.
He was dominant. He has been
so
absolutely
effortlessly dominant that he has played pretty good this season, and that's still good enough to be in the Pro Bowl.
Yep.
And to your point, I mean, Teron Armstead with the Saints has had a great season. I don't think Andrew Whitworth made it, and that surprised me.
Yeah.
He's been really good, or maybe he's the backup or the alternate. But there aren't a lot of other, at least in the NFC, like you're not looking around like.
Isn't there a good tackle in New Orleans?
Teron Armstead.
Is that Armstead?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's not a long list of other guys, that Tyron beat out. And so I'm sitting here like, he really hasn't played up to his standard, which I still believe but that's how good his standard is, that he's still a Pro Bowler, having arguably his worst. This is his worst season since he started making Pro Bowls, I think, and he's still playing like a boss. So good for him.
Was there anyone that you feel that was kind of left out that you think would have been deserving to make the Pro Bowl?
I know a lot of fans are going to probably say Leighton Vander Esch, but Kuechly and Wagner are really, really good, and you just can't jump into that spot. And it's gonna be hard to do that. I know back in the day, Urlacher, had all the, Urlacher had the spot every year, and then it was just hard to jump in there. So it's not going to be easy. But when you look at snubs around the league, way more really good players were getting snubbed than the Cowboys. There's some guys like Kamara and then Leonard from the Colts and Juju Schuster or Smith-Schuster.
But I think when you do that, though, you got to say who's the guy that should be out, because I agree with you. There were some snubs. I'm having a hard time figuring out where Kamara gets in.
He gets in on the AFC team.
Right.
Philip Lindsay made the team.
But you can't put him on the NFC. I mean, he's an NFC guy. I don't think any of those three guys go out.
This is one of those years where they might have to reconsider, is this the best option again? I mean, I know the NBA toys with it every single year. Is it NFC versus AFC really the best option for Pro Bowls? Because you got running backs like McCaffrey and Kamara, and you knew this was going to be a problem because Gurley, Barkley, and Zeke all needed to be in.
I heard someone say this, I think it was this morning. I thought it's actually a good idea. They have some of these specialty positions that they put in the Pro Bowl now. Why don't they put in kind of that, they call him a joker, but it's kind of that running back that's also
make a flex position for the Pro Bowl?
Because people like Kamara and McCaffrey, for sure, that's made for guys like that aren't necessarily your best running back, but you look at all of their skills all the way around. I mean, they certainly deserve a nod to be at the Pro Bowl, and fans would love to see them at the Pro Bowl.
And the Pro, you're right, the Pro Bowl would be a great spot to have those guys out there. Cowboy wise, though, to answer your question, I mean, Leighton, I bet you, and I was told by someone that might kind of know that he thinks Jalen and Leighton would be alternates, and he should know. Nice. He should actually know if they are or
That's
not.
A good bet.
And I would imagine that they are. The problem is Carolina and Seattle's not going to be in the Super Bowl, so I don't know.
Well,
because they're not.
Keep in mind,
Carolina's lost 6 straight.
Carolina's definitely
Seattle's losing the first playoff game when they come to AT&T Stadium.
So there's no chance.
We'll see. The different topic, but and I don't want to be the guy that gets riled up about the Pro Bowl because it's stupid at the end of the day. But I would like to see them figure out a way to. They need to reconfigure that, because Leighton Vander Esch is. I mean, you're naming pass rushers as linebackers, and so that's taking away votes from guys. And we saw, I mean, Sean Lee almost got screwed because they classified him as an outside linebacker, and he was. So you're going up against Von Miller for outside linebacker, and I would imagine technically Leighton is an outside linebacker. If you list him as an outside linebacker, then he's going up against. Who's he going? At least one edge rusher for the NFC. I already forgot.
I think Barr.
Kerrigan, Barr, and Mack are all linebacker. I mean, come on. But if you list him as an inside linebacker, then he's going up against Wagner and Kuechly, who are two of the best to play the position in the last decade.
I really think they should classify him as defensive linemen, pass rushers, and linebackers. And let the pass rushers all go in there together.
Yeah.
And I also...
But then you're going to have a problem then.
But then DeMarcus Lawrence might not make it.
Because there's some really good pass rushers now are going to get edged out by, you know what I'm saying? Either way, you're going to have some guys that aren't going to be there.
There's no great way to do it, but Leighton Vander Esch does a very, very different job than Khalil Mack, and he shouldn't be losing votes. Also, I think it's weird that only 2 inside linebackers make the Pro Bowl team when 3 quarterbacks make it. It seems like a kind of skimping on that position a little bit.
Well, you know what they do, and this is we used to see this with other guys, like I saw with DeMarcus. They have guys that aren't used to really playing linebacker that at the Pro Bowl they're standing up as outside linemen, not in a 3-4, in a traditional 4-3, and they're stand-up linebackers, and it looks really weird because they're used to usually have their hands in the ground because they play in a 4-3 at defensive end. So it's just the whole thing gets a little bit weird.
One other thought too. I mean, even if Leighton Vander Esch did get snubbed, Cowboys are not the team that should be complaining about that.
No.
Like the power of the Cowboys, like I looked it up. The only teams that have more players in the Pro Bowl than the Cowboys are like the 13 and win teams, like the Chiefs and the Rams and the Saints.
Chargers have the most. They have 7.
They're 11-3.
Yeah.
No doubt.
They're
Yeah.
good, but they're also considered one of the teams people forget about.
That's true.
Because
But
they don't have any fans.
the nobody forgets about the Cowboys.
They don't have any fans.
They don't.
Yeah,
No,
but
they
that's
really
also
don't.
remarkable that they have the most number
Yeah.
of. That
Did
tells you how
Derwin
good
James
that
make
team
it?
is. Yeah,
Derwin
he
James did make it.
He did make it.
Sorry, Leighton.
If the AFC title game is played in the StubHub Center, that's going to be bizarre because they'll be outnumbered in their building most likely.
In a playoff game,
Like
in the
30,000.
AFC Championship.
Like if they play the Steelers in the StubHubs, it'll be
I guarantee you,
it'll be black and gold everywhere.
there will be fans that come out of the woodwork that are now back on the train
Maybe.
with the Chargers,
but
Superchargers.
point-
like-
But it's hard
five-
because
it
they left
happens.
them. You know what I mean? San Diego.
I
those
get
diehard,
it, but
they
you
left
know
them.
how it is. You win, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
you get all these fans that you never saw before that are now
let me-
big fans.
I
say
wouldn't be
that-
able to do that. I would hop right back on the bandwagon.
Especially if it's only been like 2 years since you were on the bandwagon. And
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
I left for a reason, but I'm kind of back.
This is fun.
I tell you what, one more guy to mention is Zekiel Elliott. Like just the fact of what everything he's gone through. I mean, I think everybody here is excited about what he's done. He's done, you know, just basically for a whole year, just kind of been, you know, beaten down by everything that was happening with the NFL and all that, and to come back the way he did, he got his body in shape, he got his mind right, he's been a better teammate, he's been a better player, a better leader, an all around player. He's catching the ball and he's doing things, you know, he's saying the right things. I mean, I'm really happy for him, probably more than anybody.
It's been, yeah. And I mean, you know, he was coming back from his suspension around this time last year, and it's remarkable where he is now. You know, hasn't been a negative storyline about him since then. Really, he is taken possession of this team, and even during the season, like you have seen him grow and change and kind of take a hold of this team. It's been cool to see, and obviously he's having a great year as a player too. So
I'm so proud of him. I'm not his mom or anything.
That's-
but
yeah,
it feels like when you see somebody grow that way and do so well, even in his attitude, the way he walks around. Now he says hi to people.
Right,
He's
that's
smiling.
It's a big deal.
oh, yeah, I agree. Like
It's amazing.
It feels weird to be proud of some. Like I'm not related to Zeke. Like
Yeah.
you know, we have a very loose relationship. You know, like we're not friends, but yeah, it's been cool to see.
No, I can't. I don't want to say that.
What?
I was about to say he asked you if you wanted something, but I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
locker room.
He asked me if I wanted a dip, and I was like, no, I'm good, thank you. But it's fine.
An odd offer?
Huh?
That's an odd offer.
I should have taken it just for the story. I should have been
already
like,
have
because
the
you would have
story.
thrown.
I
up.
probably would
Yeah,
have.
that would have been a bad.
I should have
bad
done
look.
it though. I should have done
That
it.
would have been a bad. But you know, even when, and we talk about this a lot, just being in the media, those guys that are willing to step up in good times and bad times. And the one thing I've noticed about him this year, every single game, win, lose, doesn't matter.
He's there.
He is the first one to walk in that locker room and say, "What do you guys need?" And he handles his responsibility. And to me, that is a responsibility
And
of being a professional athlete.
sets the
is being
tone.
accountable to fans through the media.
He sets the tone too. I mean, Dak gets all the credit for saying backs against the wall. Zeke was the first guy to say. I'm sure.
right.
I'm sure.
Jason was probably the
Jason
first
Garrett
one.
was the first guy to say it.
And
Zeke
probably
was-
said it about 10 times before they caught on.
he was the first guy to take it to us.
Yeah.
To take it to the outside world, and he was the guy standing there in Indianapolis like that sucked. We're not doing that again.
Right.
That's piss poor.
Yep.
Like, he has become, and I asked him about that a couple weeks ago. Just, you know, has it been easier to be that guy because of, you know, Jason Witten's gone and Dez is gone? He's like, I don't think it made it easier. It just, I didn't have a choice. And
step up. Yeah.
he's like, you know, who's going to be that guy when Jason Witten's 10 feet away? But he's not here, and so somebody had to do it, and he's
that's
done
the-
a great job.
He could walk around and be like, "Go Jacket Witt," you know, Witt. You know, he could be playing around and be playful Zeke when Witten was the one handling the responsibilities of talking to the media every game. Now he's that guy, and those young guys are looking to him to be the leadership in that locker room.
Still plenty playful. Just
Absolutely,
FYI.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. But
Yeah.
he has a responsibility too, and he's taking that responsibility seriously.
the 12 months since, you know, I mean, this time last year they were getting ready to play the Seahawks. It was do or die. That was his first game back, right?
Yeah.
And these 12 months have been perfect for him. I never would have guessed it would be as smooth as it's been, and yeah, I'm proud of him.
And the great thing, you also see him do so good on the field, and yet he's not walking around like a diva. Like, it doesn't get to his head. And when he talks to me, one of the things I really appreciate from him is how real he is. He will tell it how it is without being disrespectful, just keeping it very professional, but giving you something that's real and not, I mean, Dak is a great speaker and stuff, but sometimes it's kind of coded, kind of like what Jason does. And
He has to be, yeah.
It has
Quarterback
to be.
has to be.
It has to be, but you know, like last weekend when Zeke talked, he's just very honest. You know, that was embarrassing. We shouldn't be playing like that. So as someone that you're listening, whether you're a reporter or a fan, you really appreciate when someone is just being honest and real. All right, let's take our first.
Real quick, before we,
Yeah.
I don't want to just leave out anyone. I mean, Zack Martin always gets kind of left out of stuff. Makes the Pro Bowl as well.
He didn't get left out of Pro Bowl.
No, he didn't. But we just like kind of gloss over.
We're
him.
just used to it.
Real
He's
quick,
a given.
President.
Mel Renfro,
Yeah.
Emmett Smith, Zack Martin, the only players in the history of the Cowboys to start their career with 5 straight Pro Bowls. Those guys were good. Renfro did it 10, Emmett 6, Zack 5, and I bet he keeps
Of
going.
Honor Hall
Of Fame.
of
No.
Fame.
Best player on this team, best guard in football, and absolutely is laying the foundation for a Hall of Fame.
He's
career.
in
And
straight
please-
there. It's like one way.
Like,
And,
doesn't even look. It hadn't even, nothing has been hard for him. Like, and that's not. Obviously, he works hard. But all pro from the day he got.
And if
here.
you wonder how good he is, just watch the Colts game and watch Adam Redmond and those guys struggle.
And
without him.
here's the interesting part about him. You think about it, and I can maybe remember 3 or 4 times since he's been with the Cowboys where I've seen him get beat.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Of all those games, like 3 or 4 times, I have in my mind, like I have a mental image of him getting beat.
And the ones that
not very often.
The ones that stand out, at least the ones that come to mind, are from this year when he's been hobbled.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
when he's not at full strength.
That's exactly right.
And last weekend was the first game for him to ever miss in his career,
That
which
sucks
is amazing. to
so
me.
much that it was in his hometown.
Yeah,
I know.
It sucks.
And like you
but-
said, Nick, the likelihood he'll be around when that happens again.
He won't.
8 years from now. It's tough.
If he's a Hall of Famer, he's
Well,
probably still playing in 8.
well,
Maybe. I mean,
12-year career,
Tyron Smith.
13-year
Tyron Smith's a good example.
Yeah.
Like, he's a really good player, but anybody willing to say Tyron has another 6 years?
He hasn't had the same kind of injuries.
Not yet, but
Not- no,
Okay,
not
let's
yet.
not even.
I'm just saying the NFL's tough.
Let's
Knock
go
on
to a
wood.
break.
Yeah, go
Let's
to
take
break.
a break. When we come back, we'll break down the Buccaneers offense, and then we'll discuss some Cowboys injury.
If you're like me and you love, if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just...
Get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for a little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
Do you want the most interesting, up-to-the-minute Dallas Cowboys news straight from the Star in Frisco? How about exclusive and on command? That's right, news and nuggets you can't find anywhere else. With our exclusive Cowboys content on Alexa, you can have all the answers, secrets, stories, and more. What's Stephen Jones thinking during a game? What's Joe Looney's favorite pregame meal? We take your questions to Cowboys players and coaches, and you can hear the answers directly back to you. Just say, Alexa, open Dallas Cowboys.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized Intense Therapy lip balm and a Cowboys can cooler. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
While a player can look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Back to the break.
Welcome back. This is the second segment of the break. We're going to get into some of the guys that were at practice, some of those who weren't. Yesterday, you guys talked a lot about David Irving on the show. We heard Jerry Jones basically say that he expects him to be back on the field pretty soon, or this year sometime, who knows. But we've also talked about the amazing, incredible talent that he has. Now, when you see a guy that hasn't been practicing all this time and being away from football all of this time, where does that leave that? Do you actually see this as being a possibility for him to get back on the field despite all of the time that he has missed?
Well, I think he's back here working with the trainers. From what it sounds like around the building, he's not really close to getting there conditioning wise. And you expected that. You didn't expect that he would be gone from the team and doing all this great conditioning work. Because when you have a high ankle sprain, it's really hard to do a lot.
How are you going to condition? Yeah.
Bike, I guess. you could do that. But
they got like the pool thing where you can be underwater and take pressure.
I don't think he was doing that at all. And I think he's getting back into football shape right now. And that's going to be tough for him. Now, like you said, he's a freak. And, he could kind of get back out there. I don't think he plays this week. I don't know. Jason talked a little bit about him.
Yeah, he's still a ways off. And that's always the difficulty when Jerry says something like that. You kind of I dial down my optimism somewhere between 25 and 50% from what Jerry usually says. So if I don't want to rule it out because he's a freak and they're going to play beyond week 17 most likely. But I wouldn't bet on it until the playoffs, if that.
Even in the shape that you think he's in right now, would you still consider him better than some of the guys that are on the defensive line right now?
No, because the thing about it is, I don't think you would replace one of those guys that's playing regularly with him. You might add him in, and then what you do is you'd say, okay, we'll give you 10 snaps, and then you kind of mitigate the fact that he may not be in the best shape, and you try to work him back into shape, playing a couple snaps.
That's all
you can do.
I'm sorry. What I would like to see, and then I'm sure the Cowboys would love this luxury. He probably won't play this week. Go out there, win the game. Get your hats, win the division, do that. Go to New York. Now you got the decisions to make on how you handle certain players, certain injuries, whatever. I would play him. I would play him in that game. I would say.
Would you play him a lot, though?
I would play him until
his tongue just hanging on the ground,
which right now could be 4
So you're
plays.
going the hard route of how you teach somebody how to swim. You just throw them in, you'd be like, I'm just going to get you in shape by running you to death in a game.
Well, I think he's going to be working all this week.
Not a bad idea.
Week.
I'm with you.
Get in there, play that game.
Amber loves the tough love strategy. No way.
That's how you get better.
Can you imagine poor Diego? His life is just
God.
She's the closest thing to Bear Bryant. She doesn't even know really about Bear Bryant, but
she's hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had
Junction
teachers
Boys.
that have
Go read
really
up on the
mean to
Junction
me,
Boys,
and I've
yeah.
gotten better because of that. I
What, they were hard? You said they were hard?
Yeah. I hated them at the time, but then eventually when I matured, I was very thankful.
What are we talking about here? 3 years ago was like, how much do you know about football? Not really. Anyway, go cover the Cowboys. So that's pretty much what's happened.
She pretty much got hazed on the job, pretty much. Yeah, that's good.
The beauty of the D tackle spot. It kind of reminds me of the Sean Lee, Leighton Vander Esch argument. If you can get him in a spot to play 10 snaps, could he bring – and I'm not trying to dog Karan Reed, but could he give you 10 snaps that are better than what Karan Reed's doing? Because I don't have his snap count handy, but it isn't high, And so if you can get him in that spot, he could do some work with 10 snaps. His first snap back after a 4-game absence, he got right in Blake Bortles' face. So
that was –
he could do it. He's going to – I'm setting my expectations real low, but if he could get to a spot where he could give you 10 snaps, it's fine with me.
But I would ease him back more because I think tired players tend to get hurt. And I wouldn't want to risk him getting hurt because he's so tired that his technique is all off and he's not as aware and he's just trying to survive, and then you end up with another injury. So for me, if you're going to try to play him that last game, I would ease him back, give him a couple snaps, just see how it goes, see how he feels after the game, because that helps you see if you get any swelling, see if all those kind of things that you just kind of want to check, you want to see before you just give him a full load, and you give him a chance just to kind of start working his way back into shape, because that's hard when you're sitting and you have an injury that doesn't allow you to really keep your wind up as much as you want. When you got a leg injury, it's hard to keep your wind the way you want and keep yourself in football shape. So
you have to find a good balance.
Yeah, I think I'd give him a little bit of time.
Now, Zack Martin, he was back at practice. Xavier Su'a-Filo.
No, Zack Martin is not back at practice.
I thought he was.
No, he's working with the training staff. He's not practicing.
So he's out there, but not with the team. He's like over to the side.
Yeah.
On the side.
Which that is.
I don't know where I saw that in my mind. I thought he was like doing, well, I guess just doing it to the side.
Jason Garrett said Xavier Su'a-Filo probably wasn't going to practice, and he still might not, but he was out there in uniform, so he might still be working with the trainers. We don't get to see all of practice, but
wearing a shield.
Yep, he's got a shield, as I would.
I would assume for the rest of his career he probably.
I'm gonna wear a shield just in regular life.
We're all gonna wear shields
after that
from the press box.
I don't think you can. I think it's an NFL. I don't think you can just do that.
Yeah, no, it's just the dark ones. Like if you just want to wear a clear visor,
I think
you can do whatever you want. It's the mirrored ones and the
dark,
the Joker one that Odell has. You can't do that. But so they're working their way back, encouraging that it's Wednesday and they're doing stuff. So
anybody else that stood out as far as
Swaim's
getting into action?
Swaim's going to be gone till maybe playoffs, right? He doesn't have a chance in the regular season.
I wouldn't think
the
so.
cast is off though, correct?
It's different. I know he's wearing something. I think it's different than it was, but he's still wearing something.
All right.
So
he's got a little ways to go. He doesn't even have the cast off.
And I mean, I guess it's not hurting you because you have 4 tight ends, but like that almost seems like wishful thinking to me, kind of like the Travis Frederick deal. But if he can get back for a playoff game, I guess that's something.
And I will say this: the way the tight ends, in my opinion, have played these last couple of weeks, I feel like they're getting a little bit of production, a little bit more production out of their tight ends than they probably were getting earlier in the season. So I'm a little, that doesn't, again, I would love to have Swaim back because he just adds another piece, but I think right now I'm not as worried about the tight end position as I once was.
But the only guys that just absolutely were not at practice were Zach, Swaim, and Irving, which for mid-December, that's pretty remarkable. I'm sure the injury
could be like the Rams and have no injury report as they were this last game.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
Somebody made mention of that going into that game. Like
Must
they
be
had
nice.
nobody on their injury report.
Well, they probably do now. Gurley.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. He wasn't on there because they said that was an injury that was there before the game. Right.
Careful.
So we'll see why he wasn't on the injury report.
CJ Goodwin is back to practice. He's not off of IR, but I
forgot about him.
Well, literally.
How are you?
No.
No,
this is important.
No, I know.
He played super well. He was a gunner for about 3 weeks here.
Yeah.
He was special teams boss, but I mean, in the ebb and flow and the craziness of a season, like I had to remind myself who he was. So I'm sure.
I just forgot I forgot that he was on IR.
Yeah,
I just completely forgot.
He broke his forearm in Washington. They put him on IR. They have not brought him back. So they've
already brought one guy back, right?
Which is what. So it's
Noah
important.
Brown.
Yes, it's important to designate that they haven't brought him back because they are out of IR spots if they do that. So I think they're going to let him practice.
Who else do they have on?
Terrence, Travis, somebody. Terrence Williams is.
I forgot about Terrence.
I mean, just tell me somebody on
forget.
IR that's even a possibility, because I don't know if they got anybody else on IR that's a possibility.
It's pretty much CJ, because Travis and Terrence aren't coming.
That ain't
back.
coming. That ain't happening. Yeah.
Cedric Wilson.
He ain't coming back either. He can't come back. Dayton is interesting. Yeah, I guess theoretically.
I've never even seen him.
He got hurt like heading into the. I see him at practice all the time.
Yeah, I see him out in the cafeteria.
Parker.
Who? Tony Parker? He plays for the Bobcats now. Not the Bobcats, the Hornets. Wow.
Parker.
Can you tell I'm not an NBA fan?
Anger.
What? Oh, yeah. The offensive lineman, the guy they traded for.
He was here for like maybe 8 or 9 hours.
Yeah.
Like before he got
That was
hurt.
the guy they traded for while we were in Houston for the last preseason.
Oh, now I
game.
remember.
Parker Anger.
Forgot about him.
Yeah, that's a good one. Now that's a definite.
It's fun to go back and like really try to remind yourself everything that happens over the course of a
Marcus
season.
Martin.
Yeah, forgot about him too.
Is
He
there
hurt
a
his
chance
toe.
he's going to be ready?
Kind of shape you think he's in?
Yeah, I was about to say that he could actually play.
But again, didn't he went to IR before?
I forgot what was his injury again.
He got hurt in
The
training
toe?
camp, right?
He went to IR before the season started, I thought. Which if you go to if you're not on the roster when they cut it, you can't come back.
Right.
Which is why Cedric Wilson can't come back.
So he and Cedric are out. They're
Real showers, yeah.
Jamil.
CJ Goodwin is a guy that I know special teams coach Keith O'Quinn loved what he did. And you know, you get to this point in the season, you're going to have games where you might have to punt, and it's, you know, I guess I would say colder weather. Maybe not, because if you get to the playoffs, you're going to have the first game's going to be at home.
Bunch of dome, unless
then
Chicago does something.
Chicago's is that the only team that's a real cold weather city that would be in the playoffs that doesn't have a dome?
Seattle, but they aren't.
That's not a cold weather city.
Well,
yeah, it can be.
But they're
cold
not.
and
That's
rainy.
like Dallas to me.
They're not in position to play a playoff game. I don't know.
Well, don't ask Amber.
It looked.
Yeah, it would be cold.
What was
Miami is
what was
cold,
the temperature the night of the Romo game? I mean, that's a great example.
Yeah.
Was
It'd
it
be in the 40s. I mean, like, I don't think Seattle gets a lot colder than that. They
Derek?
don't get a ton of snow.
Yeah.
Get a little bit.
You actually are on record of saying that if the Cowboys open their roof, that in a game this year, that it's going to be affecting like the team.
That's heat.
true.
That's not cold.
But
That's heat. There's a very big difference.
But it
That's
wasn't.
Heat. It's not cold.
It wasn't hot.
No,
It
this was
like
like
80.
2 weeks ago. You're like, is the
80
roof open? Because
80
that's
is
going to make a
warm for
difference.
athletic. I'm telling you, 80 is go do some research on temperatures and how people perform in warmer temperatures.
Derek
I'm telling
takes
you, there
The
seriously
temperature is very serious.
there is research around it where performance declines based upon temperature. I'm just telling you, the warmer it gets, the more performance declines.
What do you think what affects the game the most? A 72 is room temperature. An 80-degree weather or 40-degree weather with possible rain. And in Seattle,
Rain is
definite
different.
rain.
Rain is different. Rain is different because then you got to deal with slipperiness. But if you're talking about 40s versus 80s, 40 is much better for athletic performance than 80.
I
Well,
can't
I'm
even.
sorry
That's when I get hot.
I'm sorry to stop this
I can't even see the road anymore.
interesting
I don't even know where it
conversation
is.
over
that
here, but we
ourselves?
need to go to break.
Yes, this is not an interesting conversation.
Let's
for the
take a
record.
break, and when we come back, we'll finally hit the Bucs offense.
While a player could look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
It's time for Tailgate with the OtterBox boys.
OtterBox, the makers of those crazy protective phone cases?
The one and only, they're also wild about protecting parking lot parties from sad drinks. It's why they made elevation tumblers.
Rumor around the crockpot is they're made from stainless steel with a copper lining to keep temps hot or cold.
True, they even come in 7 different sizes, up to 64 ounce, the growler.
I like how OtterBox drinks. Thinks.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Check out all the colors and sizes of their elevation tumblers at otterbox.com.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized Intense Therapy lip balm and a Cowboys can cooler. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Back to the break.
Today's Tommy John read is going to be brought to you by Derek.
Tommy John.
Derek is going to read it, just like he threw it at Dave yesterday.
All right.
And Dave handled it, so Dave. Hopefully this isn't one that says off season.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Nestle your boys in Tommy John, the softest, most supportive underwear out there. They feature their feature packed and feel amazing. And if you disagree, they're backed by the best pair you'll ever wear or their free guarantee. So make sure you go to TommyJohn.com/Cowboys, 20% off your first order. They also have the specialty Cowboys version of the Tommy John underwear that you'll have Cowboys written down the side of your
Where do you
leg.
break that one out? Everyone's got one, right?
You know, I actually don't do
us.
that for game day anymore. I did it for game day one
You're
week,
out.
and it did.
No, I'm
was a
saying
bad
we're running out of time. I'm like,
Amber's trying to.
I'm trying
nobody,
to.
You don't care about the Bucks. You don't care.
No,
We
no,
still have not
because
gotten to the Bucks.
Exactly.
We're getting there. Let's go.
I'm just saying, Nick talks about me making comments about Tommy John, but he is the worst. He just keeps it going.
All right, let's go. Keenan
Okay.
McCardell.
Do we need to push?
Derek,
do we
thank
need to
you
push
for the award-winning
Bucks
read.
I know. Do we need to push the Bucks offense till tomorrow and do offense and defense in one day?
We can do that. It's fine.
I don't know. You
What-
tell.
what
You're
else
running the
do we
show, so
have? What
feel
else-
free.
What else did we not hit on?
Hey, if you want to do that, it's fine. I got other questions.
Yeah,
if
let's
wanna-
tell you what. Let's
We'll
do
do
that.
that.
Let's
We'll
do
do that.
offense and defense
Oh,
tomorrow.
so you have an easy show tomorrow. I know.
Exactly right.
We got.
I don't have to do any
We
prep
got
for
stuck.
tomorrow.
We got stuck with the rain. The rain forecast in Seattle.
All right, so
we went
tell
a
me
little
more about
talking
Tommy
Cowboys
John.
today.
Love it.
All right, well, there's an interesting question, and I've been seeing a lot of fans kind of say this, and we heard what the Cowboys talked about after the loss, making comments in regard to, well, it kind of shows you that you're not entitled to things, and you need to win, you need to get it for yourself. And I've seen comments saying the Cowboys needed this loss. Do you guys agree with this or disagree? And if you do agree with this, what would be the mentality around that whole thing of saying maybe they did need this kind of loss?
I don't think you can answer that right now. I really don't, because I think if they lose the next two games, you're going to say now they went to Indianapolis. They were too, big for themselves, whatever you want to say, and they got beat and they couldn't handle it. If they come back and smash the Bucks, then you can say that. But I think it's a little early to say that right now.
Yeah,
very Rowan-like.
No, I mean, well, riding the fence is okay sometimes if it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice little line, and if that makes them feel better, then great. And yeah, especially if it helps them bounce back. Like if that's what they want to tell themselves, then I'm all in favor of it. But I don't really necessarily buy it, because we've seen, the 2016 team didn't need for that to happen. I mean, I know they lost to the Giants, but they lost basically two meaningful games all year, which the flip side is that they went one and done in the playoffs. But you don't need for that to happen to keep your focus and keep doing things the way you're supposed to. I give Jason Garrett credit for that all the time. It's like he keeps his guys on task, which it's unusual to see them get obviously shut out, but lose by 20 plus points. It doesn't happen all that often under his watch. So, and I knew he was going to take issue with that, which he was like, no, I don't agree with that. We sucked. Like, we didn't do our jobs. So, like I said, if it makes them feel better, then fine, but I don't buy that they needed it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you guys are saying. The one thing I will point out, though, is I do think that personally, I think there was a lot of marketing going on last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes when you have a young team, they start getting some success and they start maybe they do get a little bit unfocused. And not to say that in practice they're worried about how they're going to sell their T-shirts, but maybe they're spending a little more time away from football, kind of getting into that kind of stuff. And maybe it can kind of help you you're too focused on too many things rather than being singularly focused on just football. And at this time of the year, you want your guys singularly focused on football. So I think for a young team, and it remains to be seen whether this will be the case here.
Right.
Yeah.
But it could be a situation where it makes them say, guys, let's chill out on the hard hats for a minute. Let's chill out on all the T-shirts and the eyeglass line and all that. Let's just chill on that for a second. Let our agents handle that stuff. Let's just worry about football for now. Let's get ourselves refocused and let's do what we got to do. And if that was the case and they did get a little bit unfocused and this has a way of refocusing them, great. Not saying that's necessarily what happened, but if it did, then that could be a good thing, and that could be something that could refocus them going into the
Who do you think's the greatest team of all time? Like one of the greatest teams of all time?
Bears.
85 Bears.
85
Everyone
Bears.
talks about them all the time.
Yep.
85 Bears, they were, steamrolling everybody. About midway through the season, they came up with the idea to do their Super Bowl shuffle. And they went and they did in studio, probably on a Tuesday, and they did their and about
didn't affect the practice
10
time
or 12
or anything.
guys had parts on that. They lost the next game.
That sucks.
And then they won the rest, and they won. They were now one of the greatest teams.
And again, it doesn't say that that's the way it happens for every team. I'm just saying that sometimes you start getting some success and you start thinking about other things.
Yeah. Hey.
And sometimes a loss has a way of making you say, maybe let me slide away from that stuff for a minute and get back to just focusing a little
I'm not going to apologize for it because it's our job. But I mean, we made the playoff scenario video, and we're having meetings, gearing up for what a playoff.
That's what we do, though.
No, exactly, and I'm not apologizing for that, but that gets noticed. Like when the buzz in this building was about the playoffs, and I would not be surprised if some guys got caught up in that. So if this helps them refocus. Yeah, like you said, more power to you. I don't think you need it,
right?
Because good teams can do that without needing
and definitely
a loss.
mature veteran teams can. Again, don't forget that this is a young team.
Yeah,
some of these guys, this is their first bout with success because they've only been here a year or two, and this is their first experience with having NFL success. So for them, it may feel very different than a guy who's been around 10 years and knows. Man, you ain't accomplished nothing yet,
It's a perfect setup for them too. I mean, they did face a tough team in Indianapolis that had a lot to play for, and they were surging as well. They're just as hot as the Cowboys, and then now they're facing a team with Tampa Bay that just keeps flipping a coin on which quarterback they want to play, and they're not very good. They got some good players. We're going to talk about their offense and defense tomorrow, but I'm just saying this is a good team to come into AT&T Stadium for them and saying, you know what, you're way better than this team. They're not very good. Let them know early, and then I just saw a stat: the Cowboys are 7-0 when they're leading at halftime. So, get the ball, take the ball when the Bucks win the toss. Take the ball, go down there.
We're gonna take the ball and we're gonna score.
Yeah, Matt
Hasselback,
careful with that.
All right. Well, before I know what everything that you guys said after seeing that kind of loss, but before, since the moment the guy stepped off the bus. Was your perception of how this team was becoming, of what this team was becoming, was it kind of like, okay, maybe they do need to kind of chill out a little bit, or I'm not sure how to word it, but
when I saw the hard hats, I wasn't.
And this was the first time they wore the hard hats coming off the bus.
Like I thought I was way
hot
wrong.
Boys,
hot boys.
I thought the Cowboys were gonna work. I said on the pregame show that the Cowboys were gonna blow them out. So I'm completely.
You said it before the pregame show, during the pregame show, and after the pregame.
Yeah, completely wrong. So when I saw the hard hats, though, my thought was, oh, this looks bad. I just was like, maybe we're a little too. This is getting a little too far, but not to the point where I thought it would affect.
Yeah,
the team.
of course.
And I don't think that did affect the team. I just. But I was surprised by that performance. I really thought the Cowboys were going to go out there. I thought their defense was going to, they say defense travels. I didn't. I think it was back in Frisco.
I saw the hard hats, and I didn't travel with you guys to Indianapolis. I met you guys there, and I didn't see the hard hats until game day. We were walking off the bus, and I was like, oh, that's new. That's different. And my first reaction was not anything negative. Was that, oh, okay, because all we've heard this season, all we've seen this season is that DeMarcus is like, yeah, we're gonna play ball, and then they go play ball, right? And so I just expected that was gonna be more of that. Yeah, they're putting this Hot Boys thing in your face, and they're putting it out there, but they're backing it up. So keep doing it. I don't care. That's great. Yeah. They just didn't perform like that. And this is really, in my opinion, the first time this season when they didn't perform up to the top.
That's the only time that it comes back to you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hindsight. And like I said, if it helps them refocus, that's fine. I love it when guys are interesting, so I'm not going to kill them for that.
Right. I love it.
No.
Keep it going if you're winning.
I agree with you there, and I think it's been a great thing. I think what DeMarcus has done, he's brought, and I always say this, he brought guys like Woods and Antoine Woods, Karan Reed, Daniel Ross. These guys have I don't want to say they have a purpose. I mean, of course they have a purpose, but I mean, they're on the team, and they're getting talked about. but they've got to be hungry. And those Ross and Woods, they got to this point. They've been cut before by other teams, by this team. Now they're here, and this is their moment. And like those guys, they got to be the ones making sure you don't leave it fourth. And I'm not saying they did. I'm saying players in general. Make sure that you're not leaving early to go when you really have more tape to watch. You just got to stay focused there.
What's funny, and so we're all pretty much in agreement about that, but it just depends on who you ask. Like old school, hard-nosed football guy, Brian Broaddus, like
he probably hates that.
Weeks before the hard hats even showed up, like I'm talking weeks ago, like after 3 wins, you just hear Brian like, a lot of people acting a little too happy around here, like nothing's been accomplished yet. I'm just like, chill out, you old.
That's the thing about veterans.
Kill.
And that's what a veteran adds to a locker room, right? When you got those old heads in there that are like, dude, I've been through this before and I've gone on these kind of runs and then we end up doing nothing.
Yeah.
Understand we haven't accomplished anything yet.
Do you feel like, because when did the Hot Boys really come out? Like, no, I mean, like this. This year.
Since training camp.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Like, do you feel like this is something last year? They're like, we should be like the Hot Boys. We should last year. And all of a sudden, Witten came over like, what's going on? No, not having
that's
that.
Dumb.
Like, wait till he's gone. Whenever he's gone, we're going to do it.
At the press conference, they're like, hot boys.
The irony is that the guy that came up with the name hasn't gotten a jersey the last 2 weeks, but that's okay. It's DeMarcus's group now anyway.
It is absolutely his group.
Yeah.
All right, well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Tomorrow, Dave is gonna fully dissect
Double
this
dip, do
5-9 Buccaneers team. For Derek Eagleton, Nick, what's your last name? Eamon.
Wow.
Nick Eamon,
Oh, there we go.
David Hellman, Amber Garcia. This has been the Cowboys Break on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this,